Hello, this is Greg Allison with Green Greg's coming to you on the 24th of September 2020. We live in very perilous times today, and there's a lot of allegations and cross allegations and a lot of mysterious stuff going on, and a lot of things that's got us really worried to the bone, a lot of consternations all around. So let's take all this understanding straight to the ground. What is really going on? Well, I'm not going to claim to have all the answers, but I've got some questions. Before you make snap judgments, just hear me out. I'm just going to show some points for pondering. You determine what you think the answers are. We're just going to kick some stuff around a little bit. But I don't think everything is what it seems, at least to some people. What I'm afraid is a lot are led sheeple. So, guys, I can't help it. The rhyming just comes natural. So we're going to take a look at some of these things. What is happening? Who's behind what? Who is playing who? That's the question. Now, we'll dial it in just a little bit further here. We have some organizations in our country today, which you've probably heard of a little bit of late. They've been in the news. Organizations like Antifa, which is reputed to be anti-fascism. That's what they tell us they are, anti-fascism, Antifa. That's what it's supposed to stand for. We now have another group known as Refuse Fascism. Now, a name like that, you would think they're also against fascism. I think that's what I said Antifa stood for, anti-fascism. Might have said Nazism, but they're very close in practice and implementation. I would tell you that communism has a lot of similarities, by the way, at least in the totalitarian control nature of the organization. And sometimes organizations might flip from one to the other. But all that said, there's also Black Lives Matter. All these organizations are today involved in a sphere of protest around things. And protests are legitimate. And there are some legitimate grievances out there. And I will say this, no group should fear the police because of who they are. There is profiling, and profiling is not good, it's evil. There should be no profiling. No group should fear that because of who they are, they're going to be pulled over and arrested. There are black lawyers, black dentists, engineers who probably have fears and concerns about this. They fear if they walk in a store, somebody's going to look at them like, are you trying to shoplift? And, they're not, people that would do that at all. So, as I always tell you, everyone on this channel, no matter what race, creed, color, nationality, there is good people across the spectrum in all races, creeds, colors, and nationalities, all religions. There are good people, very smart people, and people with good hearts. And there's also bad people across all societies. Fortunately, the good people outnumber the bad people, but most people are just trying to make a living and get by. But we get stirred up by the things going on in the world. And people play people. They use people and they stir up the anxieties and fears in order to control them and attain power themselves for some agenda, whatever it may be. So it's always interesting to try to figure out who is really playing who, what the agendas really are, and who are the puppet masters. Some people, we're not puppets. We're totally out here. It's totally grassroots. We're totally organic. Okay, maybe. Maybe not. And it may depend on what group it is. Some groups are, some groups aren't. But there's certainly some things going on. So let's kind of ponder this a little bit. Think about it. Cogitate on it. Now, I will tell you, once again, all organizations, any person or group has a right for peaceful protest in the First Amendment. You have a freedom of speech. You have freedom to address the government for grievances. And there's, as I mentioned, there's wrongs going on in society. But two wrongs does not make a right. And it does not give you the right to riot. And by rioting, I mean doing damage, hurting people, hurting property. You should not be engaged in that. And there are studies that show that peaceful protests are far more prosperous, but that doesn't seem to be the call of the day. prosperous, or a lot more effective in general, I should say. But a lot of people, there's a lot of emotion out there. And emotion's a powerful weapon to stir people up and cause consternation. So if your ambition is to stir people up and cause consternation and tear things apart, this is the way to proceed. But again, it just so happens that a lot of the people who are trying to exercise these rights and go beyond are actually against this document. That's a shame. I've covered that in many of my videos and why freedom matters. So that's not going to be the topic I'm going to go into greatly tonight, but I do have plenty of videos on that, and if need be, I can go back into it. Please leave your comments below. You may not agree with everything I'm saying here, and that's okay. You don't have to. But think about it. Just think about it. If you don't agree, leave comments. Now, what I said, there are these organizations called Antifa, anti-fascism, refuse fascism, and they seem to be working a lot with Black Lives Matter. Do Black Lives Matter? Yes. And some people always refute all lives matter, these lives matter, and those kind of things. I did warn, though, that any phrase can be weaponized and misunderstood and can infuriate people. If you are trying to say Black Lives Matter because you feel discriminated against and you're trying to make the point, hey, we've been stepped on more, and so we need some special recognition, then you might get mad if somebody says the other. So it's not really productive to try to engage in a war of words on either side. That is far not productive. What I'm going to explore here today is the idea that somebody may be getting played, and maybe other groups get played too. I've even heard suggestions that the same people play both sides against the middle. Could that be? Well, let's explore a little bit of that picture, at least what little bit I got some things at my fingertips on here today. So I'm going to do some shares. I'm going to do some interesting little shares. One of them, and I'll come back to this PowerPoint in a moment, is look at this picture here. Is Antifa played by fascists? That's going to be a question we're going to explore here. This picture, by the way, at least on the bottom, this is artwork from a Chinese guy. His name is Wu Hegelin, I guess. Wu Hegelin. Now, Wu Hegelin is actually supporting Xi Jinping's wolf warrior stance. He's doing wolf warrior artwork in support of Xi Jinping, of the CCP's propaganda, specifically Xi Jinping's version of it, the wolf warrior, you know, let's be tough and walk around and be belligerent kind of nature. But when I saw this picture, it told me something entirely different. I thought, oh, this is interesting. Yeah, for one, I don't know, that looks like maybe Chinese. It's hard to tell if all these characters are Chinese or not. The dog is probably not Chinese. I don't know about this kid. But what do we have here? We have a kid who's standing out here taking shot, trying to be active, being the activist, taking shot with a slingshot, no less, trying to make a difference in a protest. But this kid, you know, has got the cape of a superhero. So this kid's got the cape of a superhero and a slingshot, and everybody's egging him on. You see the umbrellas pointed? Well, that one's deployed. And this adult here is kind of laughing. This one's clapping, egging him on. This one's pointing away. To what? They take a shot at this train. This train is coming. This train is going to hit this kid. That's why these people have umbrellas, to shield themselves from the splatter that's going to be left over. So this is, look at the lollipop here. Lollipop to egg the kid on. The mask, you know, does this look familiar? This kid is being played. This kid is being played by these adults. These adults are encouraging this kid to take on this train. Well, standing in the middle of a track of a speeding train with a slingshot is not a wise idea. So it's kind of interesting that this artwork was actually done by a Chinese artist. Very interesting. And again, there's his name there, Wu Hegelin. I suppose, I don't know if it, as I said, my redneck Mandarin is somewhat lacking. The picture above is a highly doctored, modified, stretched out, cut and chopped picture from The Lord of the Rings of the demon. Demon overseeing all this. Who is the demon? Who is the top overseer of these things? So, you may say, wow, Greg, I don't know about these things. This is crazy. Who would do this stuff? Who would be egging us on? All these movements are totally organic. And to some degree, that may be true. And some of them may, some various chapters may seem that way, but it's kind of interesting how they show up in supplies, show up before the kids do, and the kids come in on buses. Interesting. The stuff they have at their disposal, the t-shirts, the signage. There's a lot of commonality. Bricks being piled up. And it went from bricks to, what I'll call smokeless smoke poles, if you know what I mean. Smoke poles are old-fashioned, and smokeless smoke poles are the newer ones. And some of these go bang, bang real fast these days, if you know what I mean. I'm trying to watch my words here because I'm on even though there is this document, some platforms are somewhat judicial in how they appreciate those things that are emanated therein. You know what I mean? Let me show you a picture now. This may inflame some of you even more. But this is a claim, you judge for yourself, that's made about somebody who's reputed to be funding these things. I got some more stuff I'll bring up on that. This is supposedly his own statements. And according to this source, this is a quote from him, an interview with Germany's BLID in September 2014. And supposedly he said, I'm going to bring down the United States by funding black hate groups. We'll put them into a mental trap and make them blame white people. The black community is the easiest to manipulate. Now, supposedly this language and these kind of phrases have been used by other communist organizations in the past. So this is not new, and maybe he did or didn't say this, but this is reported to be said by him. So you go check the sources, go check it out for yourself. You know, I have people who argue with me every time I put something up like this. So all I'm gonna say is go look for yourself. Don't take my word on anything. Go look for yourself. Check it out. What do you think? But that's recorded as a quote directly from him. And that language has been out there in other documents from communist revolutionary type organizations for decades. Now, that's a very unfortunate thing. But actually, it's not really the black groups that's getting played. Most of these organizations, Antifa and BLM and all, they're mostly white kids. Disaffected, rich white kids for the most part. So that's a whole different matter. Now that group NAFC, yeah, okay, they're black. But, you know, they got a Grand Wizard though. You know, organization on the Grand Wizard, no. White or black, nope. I got my concerns about that. So, yes, I do have my concerns about groups that have, you know, Grand Wizards. Well, you might be a wizard, just, hey, but not a Grand Wizard. I'm just teasing, guys, okay? I'm having a little fun. So, okay, let me share something else here. You know, our society right now, last night there was a protest in Louisville, and there were a couple of policemen who got shot. Unfortunately, they weren't life-threatening shots. These protests, so that has some dimensions of a riot when people are getting shot. Some dimensions of it, at least in some sectors. What's going to happen tonight? I don't know. What's going to happen this weekend? I don't know. These protests are happening all over the country. I'm not going to talk too much about that subject tonight directly, at least on those protests, but we're going to talk a little bit more. We're being more generic tonight. So my point on that is our society is a great threat here internally. We are under tremendous pressure. We're being torn apart, and pitted against each other. And that does serve the agendas of some people, by the way. People above and outside of these phrases. It doesn't matter, you know, when you're left or right. We're both being played against each other in a terrible plight. Encouraged to have a fight. So maybe we shouldn't bite. But you have to defend yourselves, whoever you are. You have to defend yourselves and your family. That's very important. And we need to defend our country. And to me, and most of all, we need to defend the rights enumerated herein, especially that Ninth Amendment, which said any right not enumerated therein belongs to us. And there's the Amendment number 2 auf Deutsch, which gives us the right to do this, which is the right to defend all the rest of them. That's our means, our self-sovereignty. Now, with all the stuff going on, and internationally, I'm going to tell you right now, China is being flooded even more so today. The floods seem to be getting worse. The economy there is in great risk. We have a good opportunity. Maybe the people there will see a way to get rid of the jackboot off their neck and overthrow the tyranny and reach for freedom. But the same people imposing that tyranny may see the threat and decide to go wag the dog. The prospects for warfare right now are exceedingly high as they've been at any time. This year, 2020, has been a real, you know what, burger. 2021 may be worse. We may be heading down the drain. And for these reasons, my friends, you need to get ready. You need to prepare. One of the things you should do is grow a garden because the food supplies are at great risk. Go to True Leaf Market. True Leaf Market has seeds of all kinds that you can replant, open air pollinated seeds, heirloom seeds. These are the best kinds. Greg, it's winter, I can't grow anything. Yeah, you can grow in your house. You can grow wheatgrass and microgreens and sprouts in your house. You can grow tons of greens on a small shelf. And here they tell you how to plant them. They tell you what to do, and you can buy the supplies for growing these things. And in your garden, you can get garden vegetables and the same thing. And you know what? You may not be able to get these seeds of spring. So I say go there now and get them while you can, because you better get it while the getting is good. The other thing I want to show you is right now, prepwithgreg.com. We have a great special, 4-week supply of food that gives you 2,000 calories per day, 3 meals, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, $100 off. At this moment, it is only $197. That's at this moment. But I'm telling you this via the time you click on it, maybe going up. I'm expecting the food prices to go and supplies to go down. But right now, you got awesome deals available here, and you can buy one, you can buy many. For a while, this was limited now, but they're both open, so you can get great savings here. And you can get other prep and supplies by just come up here and click in my page of supply. Again, a link to True Leaf Market, you'll find in my videos. If you use that link, it supports my channel. And if you go with prepwithgreg.com, that also supports my channel. And I need to get some better equipment here and bring you better videos. So definitely do that. But now I'm going to show you some other things here. And bear with me. There's some stuff you're going to want to see. Look at this. 10,800 assault weapon parts seized by the U.S. Customs and Border Protection. And this is a U.S. Customs and Border Protection website. So guys, I'm not making this stuff up. And what were these? Well, I'm told these were auto sears that would convert AR-15s to full automatic. Somebody, oh yeah, and these came from China. This was a shipment from China, and it was one that was intercepted. And according to this website, it was heading for Melbourne, Florida. But I've also heard they had stuff heading for other cities. And I'm further told that this is the reason the Chinese consulate in Houston was shut down, that they were quite involved in funneling this kind of stuff and spying and doing a lot of things. Who was going to get 10,000? We're talking almost 11,000 weapons that could have been turned full automatic. Who was on the receiving end of all this? Who were they going to give all this to? Probably not Trump supporters. You think? Maybe. Is that what you think? Who's China trying to give all this stuff to? You talk about meddling in a country. You talk about meddling in elections. We've been talking about Russia. No, we found all that stuff was fake. But this is real. Here it is. Hardware. came from China to the United States. This is some severe meddling going on. Who is this intended to go to? Who all are behind this? My friends, that's scary. This one was intercepted. Did other shipments get through? How many? 10,000 at a time, 10,000, 11,000? They're trying to equip an army for a major revolution. Some people are saying it's going to get rough around election time. My friends, this is indication that it may. I hope we got all there was, but I don't know. What else is happening, my friends? What else is happening? This is a good question. Who's behind this? And who was this going to? Was this meant for NFAC? Was this meant for BLM? Was this meant for Antifa? Was it? Just questions. Just questions. Who was this to go to? Like I said, probably not Trump supporters. Probably not. But wow, look at that. So, you know what, my friends? I've been telling you guys in the past. Oh, yeah. Check this out. So, here is an article from RT, which is, Russia Today, in which they have supposedly linked Soros and Steyer, another rich so-called philanthropist. I say so-called. That's when if you're funding concert. Oh yeah, by the way, Soros has crashed a lot of countries, so he's not exactly the nicest guy on earth, as sometimes he likes to pray to be. But and he apparently made that quote about bringing the United States down. Why would he want to bring the United States down, you may ask? Guys, it's not to set up some socialist utopia. This is to instigate the NW Ohio without the Ohio, if you know what I mean. The globalist gulag. That is what they want. And that is, my friends, I'm going to tell you, that's going to be it's not going to be, hey, communism is awful. But this is going to be the very thing that these guys say they're against, because this is big, deep state in a partnership with industry. Industry, state participation partnerships, kind of what they have in China, kind of what they had in Germany in the 1930s. My friends, China, I talked about this in the previous video. You tell me, you go look up the definitions for fascism, for Nazism, and communism, and tell me where China is today. How is it in China that groups of people are getting flooded and levees blown without announcement to them, which could save their lives and save their property, but the government won't do it because their so-called insurance, they would suddenly, it wouldn't be an act of God, even though they're blowing it down. So it has to be random and unannounced, so the government won't be liable to pay these people. What kind of society is that? What kind of society where these people have to have the insurance? What kind of society is where the farmers make less money than the people in the city? What kind of society is it calls itself communism when you get billionaires? China has the second greatest number of billionaires. And what kind of society is that? Yeah, they talk about communism, but this is communism with quotation marks, which is a cover for a whole different ism. And oh, by the way, it's this ism that it seems to be helping these guys. I'm going to tell you, this is where, in my humble opinion, Soros is at. I don't see it. I'm going to tell you, I've done my videos when I talk about communism, fascism, and socialism, and capitalism, and all that. And I'm not a fan of either communism, socialism, or fascism. So, and capitalism should be unbridled in terms of having not monopolies. Okay, it needs to be truly competitive to work properly, free and fair. We have corporatism in the United States, which is closer to the F also. Yes, closer to fascism than not in that regard, with corporatism. But that's a wholly different story. It's really, this is all this stuff's about control. Well, look at this. Look at these. Antifa fight instructor tells prospective writers how to cause crippling pain in victims in Project Veritas expose. Now, you know, oh, Project Veritas is one of those. Well, yeah, but what about the videos? What about those people they caught and the things that they said? Okay, now maybe you can't accept any of that. Okay, free. You don't have to agree with me, and I'm not drawing conclusions here. I'm just pointing out some things I'm seeing. Some things have been pointed out to me, things to ponder, points to ponder. You decide for yourself, go look it up. Maybe you will find things that point the other direction. But, you know, Soros is such a nice guy that he was on this interview with 60 Minutes years ago.
But it created no problem at all.
No problem at all. What, taking stuff from the Jews? He was supposed to be a Jew, right?
Not at all. Maybe as a child you don't.
Let's see. Let me back it up here a little bit.
That sounds like an experience that would send lots of people to the. Yes. Went out, in fact, and helped in the confiscation of property from the Jews. That's right. Yes. I mean, that sounds like an experience that would send lots of people to the psychiatric couch for many, many years. Was it difficult? Not at all. Not at all. Maybe.
You see that smile? Oh my God. What kind of nice guy is this? You know, he made his billions by crashing economies of other countries. That's how he made his riches. He's a parasite, and he's trying to make trouble, and he's trying to do things that aren't what you think maybe. And you know, whether you believe he's behind this stuff or not, he said he was going to fund it, at least according to some sources I've seen, and that's not the only source that said that, and there's people that claims he's behind it. Some of you say, oh no, he's not behind it. Everybody knows name him every time this comes up. Well, he's one of several that are said to be funding some of this stuff. But apparently he's not alone. Somebody's sending over auto sears for almost 11,000 machine guns at a time. Who's doing that? So my friends, you tell me. Go look up fascism. You know, they changed the columns. I did a video where they had all the little attributes of fascism and communism and nice little columns on here on Wikipedia. And after I did that video, strangely, they got rid of those nice little columns of definitions and they distributed it through the text. Interesting. Did somebody complain to them about my video? Well, look, you know, this is a, you know, if I didn't show this site here, I guarantee you a lot of people said, that's not true. It didn't happen. Well, there it is, friends. I'll put some of the links in this video. There it is. U.S. Customs and Border Protection right here saying they seized these things. And it happened in May, I believe, on the 22nd. Yep, 22nd of May that they made that seizure. These were on the way somewhere to somebody for some use. Cause some mayhem. Fortunately, this level of mayhem has not occurred in this country yet. Let's pray it does not. But there are people that are alleging that we're going to have lots of mayhem around election time, especially if the election doesn't go to suit some people. But you can equip a small army with this. And people with that many weapons of that type could do a lot of damage. Of course, some of them seem to damage themselves more than anybody else who's shooting their own people. Like NFAC. And they walk around pointing their weapons, you know, at everybody in the crowd, and which is mostly in the crowd are their own supporters. Not too smart, not too smart. And for a bunch of people that repute and claim to be veterans, I don't know. Not smart at all. Not smart. So you claim to be veterans. You shoot one of your own in a crowd in a formation. You walk around the town waving your weapons at everybody. Anybody that's ever had any training with a smoke pole knows you don't do that. You don't point at anyone unless you've got serious intentions. These things are supposed to be carried in a position of port arms or shoulder arms, right? Shoulder, left shoulder, or a sling on the back. But if you really feel like you got a carry and ready to use, port arms, and it's aimed up in the sky, not directly across, but then your finger's not on the trigger. And in the military, when they're carrying those things like that, unless they're out in a combat situation, there's no rounds in them when they're just doing marching. No live rounds. In fact, we had to take all that up at the rifle ranges. I used to be an armorer. And I remember quite well at the rifle ranges, when the guys were coming off the range, they'd have to tell us no brass, no ammo. And when we was in basic training, we'd say, no brass, no ammo, drill sergeant. We'd have to tell them we didn't have any of the stuff that was coming off. And some of that stuff got snuck around a little bit, I suppose. But so why am I showing this? What is the purpose of this video? The purpose of this video is to say, I think some groups in this country may be getting played. Truly, in their heart of hearts, they think they're anti-fascist, but their very actions may, in fact, bring on the very things they feel like they're against, because the people supporting it are probably on the other side. When you look at a real big deep state, I mean, that's what a lot of these people are for, really big government, and that's what you're going to get. And the deep state's got a lot of power, and they would love nothing better than both sides going hard at it, because if they do, once they've exhausted each other, the deep state comes in and says, oh, we got to stop this, and clamps down. And that would be full-scale Nazism, fascism. Bingo, that's exactly the kind of system they want. You think these rich billionaires are really for communism, for true communism? They wouldn't exist. They'd have to give up everything. Yet, scads of these big rich billionaires are supporting this stuff. And if you don't believe they're supporting it with their money, they are supporting it with their mouths. They talk it. And they also put a lot of campaign money in these things, including Soros, Bloomberg. I did a video about Bloomersburger, Mike Bloomersburger. Go check out my video on that. I really spanked him good, and rightfully so, because he was very much against one of my favorite amendments, Amendment number 5, auf Deutsch, from our U.S. Constitution. Why did I say it that way? It's because the Amendment number 1, it has limited recognition in certain platforms, if you know what I mean. And being a creator on certain platforms, it's kind of like, as I have been off to put it lately, walking on eggshells on thin ice in an earthquake. And right now, I'm in that middle of the lake on the thin ice, and I hear artillery rounds coming in. Some people say, Greg, it's meteorites. We got all these asteroids passing by. And that thing can just pass on by. Don't worry, it's going to miss us. We don't see anything yet that we know of it's just about to hit us. And this month's almost gone. I'll talk more about those kind of things in the future. So, are we being played? Who's being played? Is everyone being played? Y'all getting played. But the thing I talk about, the proposition of my channel, is that you survive, thrive, and stay out of the hive. And I'm going to tell you what, right now, a lot of these companies and countries and agencies and organizations are promoting a hive tech arms race to get the hive inside your head, to take from you your very soul. Oh, you'll upload your soul into a computer and you'll live forever. No, you have a spirit. That ain't gonna fly. You're not an algorithm. Inside of a computer, all it has is an arithmetic logic unit. And all it's truly capable of is correlating high and low voltages. We can treat that mathematically as if it's adding ones and zeros. But it's actually just correlating high and low voltages. It can only do one function. It can actually only mathematically add. By adding a negative, you're subtracted. By adding multiple times, it's multiplication. By subtracting multiple times, it's division. And then once you write a bunch of algorithms for how to move all these so-called ones and zeros, high and low voltages around, you make things that look very sophisticated, including ginormous simulations of worlds. You can create things like Avatar, or simulate rockets. Simulate, hey, I've got simulations for Mars habitat. You can see me flying around in there. Pretty cool. There's music, all kind of stuff, but it's nothing but high and low voltages being correlated. There's no consciousness in the system. It can mimic consciousness. You can make systems that mimic consciousness. And if you train these systems, they might act like you. And the uninitiated might, oh, that's so-and-so, that's Uncle Peter. It's not. It's just an algorithm, a poor facsimile. It's not your soul. Your soul is not going to go in that darn machine. So don't trust that. I'm going to talk about this a little bit more down the road. I'm going to do a video on the gulag. And it's coming. That's coming. I'm going to talk about what all this stuff really boils down to. What is the true thing that we're facing? The true demon against which we shall have to joust, or we will get the oust. So these are things I'm going to talk about. So please this is a part of keeping your eyes wide open and head on a swivel, so you know what's coming at you. Things are coming at us from every direction. Now you can see where some of the stuff just might be coming from, and the people that are getting it and acting on it. Hey, are you being played? Maybe you don't think about it. Do I really do this? What's it going to bring on? What's really going to be the end result of what I'm doing? Oh, we're going to take down the president. We're going to set up a nice little socialist utopian and get living wage and sit on the couch and play video games all day long. If that's what you think, man, you must be smoking some good stuff. Because that's not what's coming. Go to the Georgia Guidestones, and you'll see that the plan is to get rid of you and me. It's to have very few people. 11 out of 12, we got to go. And oh, I'm special. I'll be one of the selected because I'm gonna do this and that and the other. All these revolutions get rid of the people that instigate to start with, because instigators don't work well in conformist society. This will be a very conformist society, and if you're out there as one of the people who's instigating stuff, they don't want you. Yeah, they'll use you now. They have a term for people like that. They call people that they use to foment the revolution useful idiots. That's their language. And they also refer to a lot of the poor people in the world as useless eaters. That's Henry Kissinger's language. Yeah, and there's people in both political parties, Kissinger and Soros, who are pushing for the same end. So be aware of that. Be very aware. I'll do a video on that in the future of what it really all boils down to. But my friends, keep your eyes wide open, head on a swivel. You may not agree with the thing I've said, and that's fine. You don't have to. But then what did I really say? What I've really said is be aware things are going on. And I've asked questions, and I've shown you possibilities, and I've left it to you to make your mind up. So don't put too many words in my mouth. In fact, I led you down this path might be a little bit indicative of some things I worry about. Get it? But I really feel like people are being played. So it's time to not be played. It's time to think for your own. And it's time to try to do things peaceably, if we can. But if this comes on and you got, groups out there of 10,000 running around going bang, 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 oh, it's going on then that's the end of my call for peace, because you got to defend yourself. You have to defend your country. Yeah, so I always take the oath to do that. I got an oath to defend this. Many of us are taking it. Many of them don't understand what it means. Maybe some people will be on the other side of that. That's why in that oath it said against all enemies, foreign and domestic. So fully recognized when the people who those are fully recognize what we might be up against one day. All right, my friends. Now this is a dark topic. It's not a good, friendly, happy topic. I like to bring you good, friendly, happy topics at times, but sometimes we just got to take a dose of X-lax, or something that's that wakes us up to the reality of what's going on. So please take care of your loved ones, be aware, prepare, get ready, pray for peace, talk to your friends, reach across the aisle, try to understand where they're coming from, put on their rose-colored glasses to try to see where they're coming from. I started this video telling you that people have some legitimate grievances, but people with the grievances are sometimes are right for other people to play. I think that's what's happening. And it may take place on both sides. It's been said that guys like Soros will fund the KKK and NFAC. I've heard that. And I'm not for either organization, by the way. And I said, if you got a grand wizard, I'm probably not in favor of who you are. And I do not support or condone any racist organization of any type or flavor. What I support is that we try to figure out how to put this Humpty Dumpty back together again before we knock it fully off the wall. Once this goes off the wall, you don't put it back together again. Let's try to keep them up on the wall. Let's try to keep this country going. Let's try to build peace and prosperity. We could have a lot of hope in our society. I got another channel, Galactic Gregs, and I'm going to do a video about colonizing Venus. There's a lot of things we could do, a lot of beautiful, exciting things. We can have a beautiful, exciting future here on earth. The gardening, organic gardening can be beautiful. We can have our communities, these tribes, survival tribes could just be tribes of beautiful living in peace and prosperity. People getting along, community and family. That's what I'd like to see. That's what we need to strive for. Let's try to strive for peace. But, you know, be ready. We may not have that option. But whoever you are, wherever you are, you've always got the right to defend yourself, and you should, yourself and your family. So, even though some people would argue with that, oh, no, don't do that. Gee. Yeah, I'm not going to listen to them too very much, I don't think. All right, my friends, I've said enough. I wish everybody peace and prosperity, and have a wondrous weekend. And with that, to each of you, I wish you the very best. Everyone watching this, no matter where you're from. But let's hope that we can find a peaceful way through all this mess in front of us. We got a storm coming at us, an S storm. Let's hope that we can divert a lot of that and find a good way out of this mess. Anyway, everyone, thank you and goodbye.